Good evening. It is 9:24. You guys, I did a live earlier and the recording quality was not what it needed to be for the podcast to actually get recorded correctly. So I am here to deliver again so that we can, get the substance that we need to get from this lesson. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to enter the room just in case anybody is interested in hearing me talk about relationships. I'm really interested in making sure that the perspectives I'm gaining as I am forging my way through my own relationships in life, that I share it with you guys as it comes, into my life, because of course there's always some special insight to consider whenever another person is going through something. And so I like to be that person to give you guys information about the things I'm experiencing. I've been married now for 5 or 6 years, 5 or 6 years. And my husband and I have all kinds of things that have taught us both what it means to be in a partnership, in a relationship, or whatever the case. So I want to talk to you guys about members of the opposite sex today. All right. I want to talk about members of the opposite sex in this episode because we have a gender war and a race war going on in our community right now. And I think it's one of the most unhealthy things for our community building efforts for us to have this gender war where we're trying so hard to build our community, but because our households are in disarray in a lot of different ways, it's hard for us to try to rationalize that and, make our lives make sense enough for us to make impact in the community. So I want to talk about being able to learn from a member of the opposite sex so that the learning experience can, in a sense, overshadow the things that may cause you to fall into this stereotypical disdain or the stereotypical judgment, irrational judgment of a member of the opposite sex for whatever reason. We have a special position right now because our families are going to be the foundation for our communities, which are the foundation for our wealth. Okay. And so there's a line of production that we need to be aware of because in this reality, things are compounded on each other, just like when you go to school. Okay, when you go to school, what's happening is in kindergarten and first grade, you're learning certain things that you have to know in order for you to get into the second grade and thrive. And so being in a healthy relationship is one of those things, or being in healthy relationships, period, is one of those things that contributes to the level of success that we're going to be able to achieve when we're doing our wealth building and, our practices in business. And so because that's the case, I want to talk about some different ways we can heal and become, more supportive of people from, a member of the opposite sex, because I think for Black people, again, we have to do this. Okay. We can't let it continue going in the way that it's going without acknowledging the fact that growth is needed. So the first thing I want to talk about in this relationship series, because I did a couple of other episodes about relationships. And so what I want to do is start off by talking about the fact that when you learn from somebody of the opposite sex, there is an energetic value that they have that is unique to their gender. I'm pretty sure you guys know, and I'm not the first person to say, that men and women think differently. We see things differently, and we have a different way of approaching life. We have a different way of perceiving life. We have a different way of becoming and perceiving and all these things. So what I would like for us to do is understand about the value of having a balanced perspective. Okay, a lot of men are in society without the balance of feminine energy because they believe it to be dismissive or something that should be dismissed. And when I say the feminine energy specifically, namely, I'm talking about emotions. A lot of men think emotions are to be discarded because they think it doesn't have any rationality. There's no rationale to it. And so they feel like, oh, let's just throw it away because there's no rationale. And I mean, a huge part of me understands that and kind of agrees to an extent, because having a heart these days is a dangerous, way to be. If you have a heart, you're probably more susceptible to pain than any other type of person or any other type of personality in our society. And so men have a tendency not to want to feel the pain associated with the emotional capacity that they have in their feminine energy. And trust me, all men have feminine energy and all women have masculine energy. There is no exclusivity to either one of those types of energy, because they both serve a purpose. And that's the reason why I want to talk about these balanced perspectives when it comes to learning from the opposite sex. We have a special responsibility to be open to the plight of the other person, because not only have we shared the same experience under oppression, well, I shouldn't say we've shared the same experience, we've shared the same conditions under oppression, and the experiences that we've had as a result of that condition is something that we both need to be learning from. Okay. For a Black man to exist under the conditions of oppression, the same conditions of oppression that a Black woman has existed under, and then we're combative against each other, fighting and arguing with each other because of the effects, because of the impact of those oppressive conditions, it just goes to show you how effective the oppression was, if you catch what I'm saying to you. The fact that we are allowing the divisive tactics and techniques to enter our community and cause us to hate each other, cause us not to trust each other, cause us to look side-eye at the other person, to look at each other like there's a predatory type of energy where women feel like they're being preyed upon by men, and men also feel like they're being preyed upon by women. Men feel the same way. So if we're not looking at the balanced perspective of the logic and the emotion of it all, then we're not going to get very far when it comes to us being compassionate and empathetic with each other. That's very necessary. It's very necessary for us to be in a place where the person that we're trying to build a life with is not the same person that we're trying to run away from for different reasons. And I see so many times where that's exactly what's happening. We're running away from the thing that's supposed to be teaching us lessons. I see that sometimes between men and women, sometimes women and women are that way. Sometimes men and men are that way in their friendships, in their relationships, at their jobs, in different types of settings where we're not allowing the perspective to come through. And when that happens, it just puts us at a disadvantage, because the household does not flourish without the discipline and structure of the masculine energy. The household does not thrive without the emotion and comfort and nurturing of the feminine energy. So the balancing of our perspectives need to be something that we're open to learning from the other person. And I think what will happen a lot, I think it will happen a lot easier if we recognize that there is no expectation on who is giving that type of energy. If you have a woman who's very logical, very straightforward, very masculine in her energy, you should be okay with learning from her because of it. If there's a man who is very emotionally intelligent and he's into his feminine side and he knows how to articulate his heart, as a woman, you should be okay with learning from that, even though it may be feminine. And this is something that I have a problem with. I take issue with the fact that as soon as a woman gets a man who is in touch with his feminine side and he expresses his femininity, yes, I understand we're in a society where there is a massive push towards the effeminization of men. But when you get in contact with a man who has a balance, that's a difference. Okay, an effeminate man is a man who does not have the balance. He doesn't have the masculine to go with his feminine. Okay, but a balanced man who has both, he should be respected. He should not be called soft. He should not be dismissed or disrespected because he has tapped into that feminine energy. So let's keep our minds open to being able to keep the perspective of a balanced person in our lives. And I also want to add to this point that when you have a person of the opposite sex in your life and they're close to you, They have the ability to help you balance your perspective because they're watching you. They can see what you're doing. They understand the source of your actions and activities. They understand the source of your thinking and your reasoning, the reason why you think the way you think, the reason why you move the way you move. This is something that can help you if you're open to it. If you shut it down because it's not your truth, it's the truth of somebody else, then you'll never be able to grow from what's actually in your immediate environment, which is actually what you're called to do. Okay, every one of us is called to grow from what's happening in our immediate environments. But if we're not doing that, if we're not capable of allowing the tutelage of another person to come into our lives to say, hey, listen, I see you. I recognize what you're doing. I recognize where you're coming from. I know where you're headed with this. Let me help you get there because I can see you. Now, the only thing I will say that could stop that from happening, that does often, is when the delivery method is not what we would expect or what we want it to be. So I would say to that, just make sure that you have your emotional intelligence in order so that if somebody says something to you, that even if you don't like it, still make an assessment of whether or not it's true. Still make a truth assessment on it to see if there's anything you can extract from it that can be useful to you. You understand what I'm saying? If you're overweight and somebody says, you a fat bitch, I mean, you may not like that delivery, but if they tell you something that just jars you from their perspective, now you may not think that you the fattest thing ever, but if you see some things that you might want to improve, allow that to happen. Allow it to be the healing part that you need from that balancing of your perspective so that you can see from somebody else's eyes. The second thing that I want to talk about is being able to handle the truth, like what I just alluded to. A lot of us are not able to handle when a person is brutally honest with us from their truth, from their perspective. And we have to start learning how to soften ourselves, humble ourselves, and be receptive to the truth. Doesn't matter if it hurts. And it's something that seems counterintuitive, but it kind of is like when a woman is giving birth. When she is feeling pain, she's often told not to tense up. Don't start, ooh, it hurts, because that intensifies the pain. What happens is what you should do is just like when you're jogging. They say when you're jogging, when you reach a hill, you should lean in towards the hill. You lean in towards the pain. You open up and relax to let the pain come through so that you don't exacerbate it. You don't want to exacerbate the pain of the truth. You want to release and allow it to happen, because the truth is the truth no matter who it belongs to, no matter what it came from. If a person sees something and they speak that to you from their place of truth, it'll behoove you to allow that to come into your life and mean something, especially if that person is close to you. So being able to handle the truth just simply means that you're not going to just say, oh, well, I don't see it that way, so I'm not going to receive it. I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not going to address it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to discuss it or make any changes. I'm just going to say, I don't see it that way. That's when you played yourself. You have completely disallowed somebody to take effect in your life, even if you don't like how they're trying to give it or deliver this message to you. So in our community, I think one of the biggest things that we have seen between each other is when a man will say that a woman doesn't want to be accountable. Well, I gotta take what my friend Dash Hudson said, and I want to talk to the women about this too, because I learn from men all the time. I've had throughout my life strangers, male strangers, teach me things. Especially older gentlemen teach me things. My friends in my life teach me things. My male friends, if I'm just dating somebody, I allow them to teach me. My husband, he's taught me things. Even my son, the men, in my life have been very influential to me. My brother has taught me one or two things that I do allow myself to use in my life. And so I want to just appeal to the female psyche for a second and remind you, ladies, that our brothers are genius just like we are. Okay? Our entire race of melanated people, we're extremely connected to the source, which is all truth, information. It's just knowledge. And that's the reason why we have such genius capabilities and capacities, because we have an intuitive, natural, genetic connection to all truth and knowledge. So when a man is speaking his truth to you, sister, you got to take it. You have to know how to handle that truth, because it's going to possibly poison you to the point where you die and become reborn again. And I think that's where we have to start perceiving the value of another person's perspective and being able to learn from it. Because in a lot of different times, it will kill the versions of you that you don't like. It will allow you to choose when you want to change. It'll allow you to choose when you want to become somebody different and why you want to become someone different. Especially because if you're listening to somebody that's close to you or somebody that can just see you. Have you ever had an encounter with somebody that they just speak into your life and you're like, how did you know that about me? Like, how did you see that? And they just met you. It's because energetically people can feel where you are. They can feel the information that they need to give you in order to enlighten you about what they see in you. It's just like if you were to see a teenager that was spoiled. You don't have to be around that spoiled teenager for too long before you realize what you need to say to them. You know what? Somebody needs to make you work for something because you're spoiled and you don't know the value of the dollar that you're trying to spend, or you don't know what it means to have a hard day's of work and appreciate the fruits of your labor because you had to work for something. And it doesn't take all day for you to figure that out. And so I want you to understand that you are no different, men and women. When you have someone in your life and they're talking to you about something that they see in you, don't be like, oh, you don't know nothing about me. No, you need to open up and discuss. You need to open up that box and figure out what are they talking about. Now, I would say if you figure out that someone is saying something that is baseless, something that you have no point of reference, I'm not saying to just completely dismiss it, but if you can't receive it at the time, then, or I should say if you can't relate to it at the time, then just put it in your memory banks. Don't necessarily just let it go and be like, oh, that's not right or whatever. You don't agree with it, but just remember it. Okay. Because you'll never know when that thing that they said to you might come to light, and you'll have to come to a place of reckoning where you're like, oh, that person said to me that I'm spoiled. That person said to me that I don't know how to take criticism. That person said to me that I move too fast. That person said to me that I wear my heart on my sleeve and I need to learn how to protect myself. That person said to me that I need to be aware of my situations and my surroundings, because these things may not be, like I said, they may not be able to set in right then and there. But at some point, they may be relevant to you and who you are becoming or who you see yourself to be. So let's learn how to handle the truth, and let's learn how to let it come in and do what it's going to do in our lives. And the most important thing that I think is going to come out of that is this last point that I want to make, which is really about being able to heal from the trauma that we've experienced from our male and female relationships. I have heard so many times, especially in the female gay community, that they have chosen to be gay because they're tired of being mistreated by people of the opposite sex. So they start dating the same sex, only to realize that a lot of times it's the same mistreatment. Not because of the gender. That's happening because there is a misalignment with the personal set of boundaries and the personal healing from trauma that we've allowed ourselves to experience. The level of trauma that we are experiencing, especially between each other, has to do with a lot of sexual things. There are a lot of emotional things having to do with respect, things having to do with dignity. Like, for example, in our music, a lot of women feel preyed upon because of the way that our bodies are objectified and the way we get overly sexualized. And I'm not going to take that from men, because our men are overly sexualized right along with us. Yeah, we know that. We know that our men are in a place where they are, kind of suffering as well when it comes to their sexual being, because they get torn down a lot for being groomed to be hypersexual. Okay. And we're tearing them down, not realizing that this is not something that they chose for themselves entirely. Thank you for that, sister. I appreciate that, K Drizzle. And so this is something that we have to really peel back the layers of why are we forwarding the mission of our oppressors to continue tearing each other down for something that was done to us. That's like seeing somebody getting raped and then ridiculing them about it because they're no longer a virgin. It's like, how can you come down on me for something that I didn't choose for myself? Our black men didn't choose to be lazy, or they didn't choose to be, thugs, or they didn't choose to be hyperly sexualized. They didn't choose to be pushed into this gay agenda. They didn't choose that stuff. This stuff is what's happening to them by way of social conditioning. And for us to look at them and to condemn them and say, oh, I can't learn from you because look at you. You're this, you're that. You've allowed yourself to be in all these negative situations. You're a thug, you're in jail, you're not employed, you're a hustler. We're just going down the list, the whole gamut of things that really have nothing to do with our men. But if we chose to say, you know what, I see that you're wounded. I see that you've been impacted negatively by this environment. I'm going to do my best to change it. I'm going to do my best to help you heal from this trauma. Because then maybe if you heal from it, then I can heal from it too. And our men and our women have to lead the charge in doing that. Our men and our women have to come to each other. Brothers, y'all can't keep on coming down on us, calling us hoes. Y'all the ones fucking us. How you gonna keep on calling us hoes and we can't, keep a man and our baby daddies is scattered all over the place? Don't you realize that your baby mamas are scattered all over the place? Most of y'all on child support. So who y'all talking trash about? Who are y'all talking trash about? You talking trash about the same women that you're trying to coerce to get into your bed without you working for it, without you having any type of interest in her as a person. So the trauma, okay, we're sharing our trauma instead of healing from it, helping each other to heal from it. Okay, so we got to be responsible for those things, because nobody outside of our community is going to come in and help us get right. And I'm going to tell you the reason why we must start learning from the opposite sex is because that's what's going to allow us to build our communities economically. It's going to allow us to start figuring out what's next after we figure out our home situation. And I'm here to tell you, we have to do that quickly. We don't have a whole lot of time for us to sit around and be mad at each other when we need to be hitting the ground running, building up this community that sustains our lives. Okay. The agricultural situation that we're in is dire. The education system that we are part of is dire. The situation is dire, you guys. Okay. The healthcare systems that we're a part of, it's dire. These vaccines, the vaccine passports, the political situation that we're in, it's dire. We cannot sit around and be continuing to get mad at each other over who you having sex with, or who you texted. Well, why did you go this way and didn't tell me? Well, when was you going to say this to me? Well, why your mama don't like me? Well, when did you decide you wanted? Oh my God, we don't have time for that, y'all. We don't have time for it. So if we don't heal through this stuff, it's going to consume all of the energy that is supposed to be getting allocated towards our community building for the purposes of political and economic freedom. Nobody's going to do that if we don't set the foundations for ourselves to be able to get in there and say, listen, we are healthy. We're standing together, not just in these streets, but in our homes, in our families. We're standing together. Okay. And you're not going to be able to pit us against one another because of the things that you've done to us. I don't want to hear another sister talking about a deadbeat man. I was one of them, and I'm not going to try to come down on anybody for being where they are or thinking how they think about men or thinking how they think about women. But I don't want to hear no more brothers talking trash about no sisters. Why, y'all? There's no point in doing that. We're not getting anywhere from it. So the trauma that we've been sharing between each other, somebody has to learn how to stop and put their hand up. And so I would love to see my sisters be okay with the fact that they might need to be the breadwinner. When a healed person comes into a situation, they would make a full assessment. And then I'm not just talking about women. I'm talking about men too, because nowadays men don't see themselves as being expected to provide or to be the breadwinner for the family as the building occurs. So for anybody that's entering into a relationship where the economic situation is off balance, but everything else seems to be in place. I don't want you to look at it like you're individually bringing this economic resource to the table. I want you to start looking at your economic resources in your relationships like one big plan. Look at all of your resources of your relationship. If you have to get down with the person you love, not just the person you're having sex with, get down with the person that has been with you for a long time. You know them, they know you. You know that they're going to be a part of your life because they have been. You know that they're going to be a part of your life because they've invested in your life. You know that they're going to be open to changing and growing and evolving with you because that's what's already been happening. And I want you to take note of what that person brings to the table. It could be emotional intelligence. It could be mental enlightenment. It could be a sense of peace. It could be the fact that they are humorous and they make you laugh and they give you joy. It could be somebody that helps you stay disciplined and they're your accountability partner. You need to start writing down, what is this person good for? I'm going to pause right there. What is this person good for? We've gotten so conditioned, so used to saying this person ain't shit. You ain't worth the goddamn, you ain't got a pot to piss in or window to throw it out of. You ain't worth my draws and blah, blah, blah. You understand? But you have to understand, what is this person good for before you start digging out all of the dirt that you think you have on them. Because what is your intention anyway? What are you trying to do? If you're trying to be in love and you're trying to build and accomplish something, why is the first thing you look for the trauma? The trauma and the drama. The trauma and the drama, we have to stop it. We cannot make progress when we're doing everything we can to figure out what's wrong with the situation before we want to understand what's right. I'm going to show y'all this thing that I want you to see. That, where did I put my book? Dang, did I put it back on this? Oh, I don't have my book. I don't see what my book is, and I don't want to look for it. But the book is called The 6 Thinking Hats, and what it does is, oh Lord, The 6 Thinking Hats. Lord have mercy, y'all. Sorry about that. The 6 Thinking Hats is really about knowing how to make a valuable assessment from 6 different perspectives. The perspective of data and facts, thinking from emotions, thinking from positivity and joy, thinking from caution, thinking from a perspective of creativity. And there's a last one that I can't think of off the top of my head. But what I want us to do is learn how to do that in our relationships for the purpose of healing. There is never going to be a situation where everything is perfect. So if you're coming into the situation looking for the imperfections, then that's all you're going to experience. And I'm guilty of that. I just had to correct myself from that type of perspective because I was doing that to my husband. Everything that was not going right, I was all on it. I was focusing on it, and I was trying to highlight it because I wanted him to do better. I wanted him to do different. I wanted him to be different. And I was not giving him any room to be himself. I wasn't giving him any room to grow. I wasn't giving him any space to evaluate and to make changes and to do things differently. And it just was my fault that I wasn't able to allow the healing to occur so that he and I could look at some of the good things that were happening in our relationship. And so this is something that I want all of us to really be mindful of and get in our hearts, that you are traumatized the same way the people in your life are traumatized. And the goal for all of us, when we come together and we collaborate with each other, when we bond, when we connect, the idea should be for us to gain perspective and healing so that we are learning from each other in ways that are actionable in our lives. Every person that is close to you, everybody that can see you, everybody that can talk to you, everybody that can understand you, everybody that can really relate to you in a way where they put themselves in your shoes, they are people that you should listen to. Any perspective that is not yours is something that you should listen to and figure out a way to extract substance, figure out a way to extract the point of it all. Fresh Dream 88 says, Black women are beautiful, lovely, and amazing. She's a garden, fellas. fellas, if you tend and care for her, she'll feed you forever. And I love that because that's exactly what I'm talking about. Both parties are fertile ground. The men and women in our communities are full of fertility, but we have to stop coming down on each other for the things that we don't have. Women, ladies, if you get a man that doesn't have money, please stop beating him down about it. Please stop beating him down about it. That man, if he's, and I'm not going to say don't mention it or don't make it a thing or just be okay with whatever. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you should not beat that person up if they bring other things to the table that you can identify as valuable. If you can identify something else that's valuable, first of all, money is not real. So if you find something inside of another person that is valuable to the point where you can do something with it, consider that to be better than having a lot of money. Because if you the kind of woman I am, you're going to make a plan to get to the bag anyway. If you have a person that you can work with, if you have a person that you can understand, you can communicate with, a person you can bounce your ideas off of, somebody that can understand your position, your perspective, all those things equate to money. You can go and get the bag with the dude. You don't have to require him to be there already. And honestly, I don't understand why a lot of us are looking for people who are perfect in a relationship. You want somebody that's emotionally intelligent. You want somebody that knows how to communicate. You want somebody that knows how to rub your feet the right way. You want somebody that knows when you're upset. You want somebody that knows how to anticipate your needs. You want somebody that's going to be the right kind of freak for you. You want somebody that knows everything right from the very beginning. How is that possible? How, Sway? How, Sway? If you don't know how to grow into things, you're never going to find a perfect relationship. You're never going to find the relationship that you're looking for because you're looking for perfection. And we all know that does not exist. It don't exist. So we have to get ourselves to a place where we're willing to accept the flaws. Learn how to learn from somebody. Learn how to say, well, baby, you ain't got a whole lot of money, but do you have a whole lot of wisdom? Can you give me some of your perspective? Can you tell me what you see in me and help me grow from where I am? Can you help affirm me? Can you help give me the added perspective that I need to have about my life, about who I am and who I'm becoming? Can you do that for me? Because I see you seeing me and I see you too. Everything has to mean something when you're in these relationships. It has to mean something, and it's up to you to give it the meaning. My friend Christy, Lord, is it Christina or Christiana? I don't want to get it wrong. It's Christina. Tell me what it is. I can't, and I'm like, I know. Okay, but there's another lady that I do stuff with, and her name is Mariana, and I always want to call her Mariana. Oh no, Lord have mercy. I need to get my life together. But anyway, Christiana says, love is a high vibrational piece. Everything else is empty tools. I agree with that. I can understand what you mean by that, because when you're not in a place where you're allowing a person to give you the love or to give you the love of their perspective, then it really is just an empty vessel. There's nothing that you're getting out of it. Right. Oh, Christiana. Okay. That's what I thought. Christiana. I don't want to say Christina. Who do I know named Christina? I think the lady that moved me into my apartment, her name was Christina. I'd be loving to get names mixed up. But anyway, thank you for telling me. Because I ought to look crazy. But thank you. So it's a real thing in our community right now. And I'm going to tell you, we're not going to get to our generational wealth if we don't get our families together. And I want to show you guys a diagram of something that I've been studying in the field of law when it comes to equity and trust. I don't know if any of you know what a trust is, but this is something that I've been studying. I don't know if you guys know anything about a family office, but if you look at this right here, it says family office, right? So in the family office, when you pull this back, what you see are these different sections of what it takes for you to be able to create generational wealth for your family. Okay. So in the family office, generally what you would, before you can even set one of these up, you need to have an income at a minimum of $100 million, okay, in order for you to set this up. Now, what you see on here is you have a section for family governance, wealth planning, wealth management, business development, charity and philanthropic activities, and then lifestyle management services. And so this is what you and your family, okay, are meant to do together in order to build generational wealth. When you look at some of these little subsections, trusts and wills are included. Life insurance is included. You are creating foundations and then donating to those foundations so that you can have a tax haven in order for you to continue protecting your wealth from taxation. We can all learn how you want us to listen. We can, we can learn how to be your right freak. We can learn what makes you better and what you're upset and etc. That's right, Fresh Dream. And that's the reason why I'm saying we have to stop coming down for shortcomings. We got to stop coming down on each other for shortcomings, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be building something. You don't have to be perfect in order for you to build something with somebody. You don't have to be perfect, because you can learn. Just like my friend Fresh Dream 88 just said, you can learn. It's about open communication. If I tell you that I don't like the way you touch me or the way you talk to me or the way you're talking about me, if you love me, that is a lesson that you're going to learn from, and you're going to take it and do something with it. So ladies, if you get a man that he fulfills you in other ways, but he ain't got no money, first of all, y'all can't even get to a place of knowing if a man has anything to offer, because if he ain't got no money, y'all don't even let him try. Y'all won't even let the man try to bring anything to the table. If he ain't got no money, y'all just like, oh, you ain't got no money, I can't do nothing with you. You know, we got to stop doing that, because it's just not fair. It's just not fair. People have more value than just money. Okay. And so I want to point out some other things about this chart, because what we're looking at is the structure of wealth. We're looking at what it takes to accumulate, acquire, and maintain wealth. Okay. So life insurance, like I said, you create a foundation out of your family wealth planning. And then once you have accumulated and amassed this amount of wealth, what you do is you start protecting it in these tax havens that are tax exempt, religious or nonprofit organizations. And so that's a part of your family's wealth when you have the foundation that you're donating to. It's your foundation. So all the money and the philanthropic things that you feel like you're going to do, you're going to do it, but it's going to be your family on the staff getting paid to do it. Okay. So then we have private equity. Private equity is when you retain the ownership, the percentages of ownership, and hold title to certain properties and assets that are to be acquired and held for the beneficiaries of your trust, which are the people that are in your downline, in your lineage. Okay. These people are listen, this comes from relationship building. This comes from trust. This comes from commitment. Okay. In the part of this chart that says family governance, there is a place where you have a family charter, a family assembly, you have mediation, and you also have a family council. And because of that, this is the reason why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Family mediation, because on a household level, if your house is not in order, listen, if your family is not in order, just because it's one little thing, being able to mediate your problems, being able to mitigate your problems, the whole rest of this goes straight to hell. Because listen, if your family is in disarray, y'all don't trust each other, you don't love each other, y'all cheating on each other, y'all doing backhanded, underhanded things, y'all can't give each other no praise, you can't congratulate each other, you can't work in harmony, none of that stuff. Guess what happens? You're not able to build wealth because you got, prenuptial agreements that need to be in place where obviously there's some amount of animosity being held up against the person, or you have life insurance where you don't want to put the baby mama on your life insurance policy, even though she's the one taking care of your kids. You have bank account openings. Bank accounts require people to have title to the bank account. If y'all can't get along, how are you going to share your accounts together and monitor the growth of your wealth? How are you going to do that if you can't agree on anything? Listen, this is about community. It's not just about relationships. I can send me your send me a DM. Send me a DM. And this is what I'm trying to tell y'all, you guys. This right here is something that we are. So in wealth management, like I said, you're doing your bank accounts. We also have asset allocation and risk management. So when we're talking about asset allocation, that means that in your trust, you have to name the beneficiaries who, if anything happens to you, the trustee can be ordered or instructed to allocate the assets to the beneficiaries at such an age. So if let's just say you have $100 million estate and you got 4 kids. You don't want to give them a whole $100 million, but you want to allocate some of your assets to them when they reach of age or when they become of age, because what happens is you're giving them a platform to continue their business development on this part so they can contribute to the whole grand scheme of these asset allocations and acquiring of equity, acquiring of titles and properties and things like that. So you allocate by way of your trustee to tell them what to give to your children so that they can, you know how when the Caucasian kids, they come up and they 18 years old, 20 years old, and their parents say, okay, here's $100,000, go ahead. That's the seed money for your business. They're doing that out of these assets, out of these accounts, out of these contracts, these trusts and these life insurance policies to give these kids something that they can use to start contributing to the whole family plan in every generation after generation after generation. Why do you think Caucasian people don't necessarily get divorced just because of infidelity? Okay, most of the time, if you're doing what you need to do to build this, do you really care who's having sex with who? Do you really care who's having sex with who? This is $100 million estate. $100 million. You mean to tell me because somebody wanted to go and have sex, you're going to bring the whole house down? Look at that. You're going to bring the whole house down because somebody want to have sex? Let go of that kind of stuff. That's not what our relationships are meant to do. Our relationships are about community. These foundations are in the community. This is a part of your wealth. This is a part of what you're creating for your downline. It doesn't matter what's happening in this lifetime. You're not even living this lifetime for you. Your lifetime that you're living is for everyone else. Yes, you're here to have the experience, but you're also here to leave something. You're also here to create something for the next one. All right. So, and then you have lifestyle management services where you're just talking about accounting and making sure your documents are together, doing legal services and stuff like that. But in the business development part, we're talking about networking. And y'all, I want you to understand this. When you have a partner that has things that they bring to the table, let me tell you something that's better than money. Something that's better than money. If you have a partner that will get out in the world with you and do this, okay, go networking with you. Go networking with you. Building up your network. They say your network is your net worth. And if you got somebody that you can vibe with, where you can say, baby, come on, let's go hit this little networking event that they got. I heard they got free drinks. Let's go. See if we can collect some business cards and see about this business plan we put together. Do you know how sexy that is? Do you know how much more valuable than money that is for you to be able to do that? I need y'all to feel me when I'm telling you this. All right. So we talk about transferring business. And I also want you to understand why your family is so important, because when you're doing all of this, guess what? If me and my husband build all of this, we have to find a successor when we die to take over it. The reason why we need to have our family put together and have our family in order is because when we die, everything we've built for the wealth, generational wealth of our family, we have to find a successor for it. And if we don't have a family to keep it together, if we don't have a family to believe in the values of why we put this together, to understand that there is a way that we want to maintain these things, then who are we going to leave as a successor to it? Who is going to be the successor? If you don't have children, if you got children by 5 different women and you don't get along with none of them, who's going to be the successor of your life, the energy that you left behind? What is it going to mean to you if you've lived this whole life and you die alone with nothing? What did you come here for? Why are you on this earth if that's your intention? You understand what I'm saying? We're doing this. It says that you need to, company registration is a part of your business development, of course. Okay, shareholders agreements, transferring of the business, joint ventures, mergers and acquisitions. Let's just say right now you have $1 million business, okay, and you want to go out and start expanding your portfolio. You want to start putting more, like let's just say you want to create a conglomerate where you own more than just your one business. You and your wife or your husband should be able to help manage that empire together, going out and acquiring things and making sure that you are attacking it from the male and female perspective. And I want to go back to the main topic that I was just saying, why you should be learning from somebody from the opposite sex, because especially when you're getting into wealth planning and wealth building, you're going to need that masculine and that feminine energy to balance out so that your creativity can hit up in these areas of your life. Okay, the wealth management and planning. This is about community. It's not just about sex. Okay? If you're hyperly sexual, you don't have any of this on your mind. You don't have any of this to look out for. If you're hypersexual, all you're thinking about is the next person you can get in bed with. Where's your mind at? What are you doing? Because you're not thinking about building family. You're not thinking about a legacy. You're not thinking about your kids. You're not thinking about the comfort of your lifestyle. You're not thinking about leaving something behind or being useful to anyone. All you're doing is just having sex. But we need to be able to learn from each other. Do you know when you go into business that the female approach has a lot of value in the business world, because we are the creators. We are the creativity, the innovation. We are the fresh set of eyes that come into the room to see things differently. And in business, that's a huge asset. But then you have the brothers with their masculine energy. They come in and they get the structure. They get the orientation. They get the operations, the logistics down, and they set the architecture of what needs to be built so that the woman can come in and make it flourish. This is valuable when you're talking about wealth management. But if you hate the man for not being perfect, and if you hate your woman for not being perfect, how, Sway? How are you going to get to the core of the community, which is your family? Okay? You are the core of your life. You are the center of your life, but then you also play a part in your family. Then your family plays a role in your community. Your community plays a role in your political and economic, experience. We all have to get onto this. And remember that this is about planning for the future. This is about building something based on the information that we've been provided about how to construct reality. Okay, this is about the fabric of reality. This is about what we are experiencing on an everyday basis. It's about your family. It's about what you're able to learn from the men and women in your life. Okay? Do not allow yourself to fall short of that expectation to come on this planet and have a learning experience, for you to be able to take action on that learning experience and do something for somebody else. You're sending vibrations out into the world. You're not just having sex. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with that for you guys, and make sure that you are allowing the healing to come. Make sure you're allowing your perspective to be balanced. Make sure you're allowing yourself to hear the truth coming from the opposite sex, because it is of great value for you to listen to somebody when they're presenting something to you. Because I want to say this in closing. Most of the time, we assume that people from the other or the opposite sex have some kind of nefarious intentions towards us. But it's not until we start to affect each other emotionally that those nefarious missions and those nefarious objectives and that acting out starts to come into play. So what we have to do is like Christina says, we need to get past the trained characteristics, and all of that conditioning is being trained and ingrained in us. We have to let it go, because them Caucasian people, they don't care about who's having sex at the end of the day. What they care about is, what are you contributing to this family plan? Okay. Are you contributing to the wealth management? Are you contributing to, the acquisition? Like I said, getting assets and making sure that we're living comfortably. That's what we're focused on. That's what we need to be focused on. How are we going to change our reality? By changing our families, changing our relationships with each other. And so, yes, I will send this chart to you. Thank you for giving me your email address. Let me go back and screenshot that thing. Let me screenshot it so I don't forget it. Did I get it? Yes, I did. Okay. All right. So you guys, I do appreciate you for coming and listening. Make sure you hit the playback if you got in late. I want you to go to my website, reeseroberts.com. I want you to click my link in bio so that you can see my business projects. And you can also join for free the Learners Academy and get enrolled in our free courses, or the free course that we have available now called Using Metaphysics to Manifest. And that course is talking about what your identity is, the system structure of universal natural law, and how you are able to get yourself into a place of perspective when it comes to seeing how you fit into the system of natural law and how you can use it to manifest those metaphysic realities. Okay. So click the link in my bio. You can also go ahead and subscribe on Patreon to get one-on-one sessions with me as a part of your subscription. When you're able to, we do that 4 times a month. You can get up to 4 sessions per month when you subscribe on Patreon to that tier for one-on-one sessions. We also have a tier for a book club where you can subscribe to that tier, and it will give you all the book downloads that are relating to the occult, relating to metaphysics, relating to the supernatural, or universal natural law. All those things are a part of that tier. And then we also have one that's specific for the Learners Academy. So the Learners Academy, those free courses, when you subscribe on Patreon, that's when we are there to help you apply what you've learned in the Learners Academy. So when you subscribe to that tier, you'll have, again, one-on-one access with me to work your way through that understanding of the metaphysic process so that you can understand where you are. You can understand what might be holding you back from being able to execute the manifestation, learning how to really assess yourself and really pull back those layers so that you can get with the growth of it all. Okay. So you guys, again, click that link in bio. Make sure that you get familiar with the things that I'm doing, because we all have some things to contribute. And I'm very confident that the things I'm contributing are going to be things that are going to really ground you and put you in a place where your perspective has been elevated to a place where you can see yourself and you can do things. Okay. When you can see yourself, you can do things. So y'all, fuck with me a little bit. Y'all come on in the room. Okay. And let me know that you're here. When you get enrolled in that free course, go ahead and start the discussion. Go ahead and talk about the assignments, get in those comments, and let me know how the assignments are coming with you, because the assignments are there to challenge what you have read in the reading materials and what you have comprehended from the videos that are in the curriculum, the course curriculum. Okay, so again, link in my bio. Find me on YouTube, all that good stuff. You can follow my podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. We're on your streaming platforms. Okay, so peace and love, you guys. Please make sure you hit the playback if you came in late. I want you to get it. Okay, peace, y'all.